So part 2 is about the funding models and financial planning, and this is where Rick and I are hoping to change the industry. And I'm gonna take a stab at it, Rick, if that's okay, and then we'll go.
You want the next one?
The next one is what is proposed by the report. Do you want to do that first before I go? I'm gonna give her. Okay. So the depreciation report is a 30-year window. It's a 30-year forecast of what's going to happen in the next 30 years. A lot of items don't last 30 years. So your windows might only last 25 years. Okay? So if you fully fund your depreciation report, which means you raise your strata fees and your contribution to your CRF high enough so that you never have to have any special levies, right? You end up with this really, really big fund. And when you're saving up for these windows that's going to last, they're going to die in 25 years and you have to put new ones in, you're saving up for that. But you're also saving for replacing those windows after, for the next 5 years. So what you're doing is you're saving for an exorbitant amount of time, and you're going to have this big, huge CRF fund, which is, and we're going to talk about this, due to legislation, not earning a great return, maybe keeping up with inflation, maybe not. And so it's really not an effective way of saving, because it's like you're saving everything. You're saving for the rainy day plus the normal day, and you're going to have like so much money you don't even know what to do with it. What you need to do instead is make a plan, and Rick and I were talking about, is it called short-term, medium-term, of really 5, maybe 10 years, and that's what you should be planning for. So we know that the windows are going to be good for 25 years. You probably don't need to start saving for them now. What you need to start saving for is the things that are coming up in 5 years, or the things that are coming up in 10 years. So if we know the elevator is only going to last 10 years, and then the windows are going to last 25, probably not a good idea to save for the windows. Let's save for the elevator now. Get that going, get that done, and then when the windows come within our time horizon, then start saving for them. And we really think that's a different than the industry. The safe thing to say is save as much as you can and save for everything, right? But it's just not practical, and we're not seeing strata corporations do that. And there's no legislation that says that you have to fully fund your depreciation report. And unfortunately, when you're getting reports from some planners, it's saying there's a couple options. One is don't save at all and just special levy everything, and the other one is fully funded. And there's nothing really, there's no intelligent conversation in between. And that's what's needed, and that's what we're going to talk about a little here, is the intelligent conversation and planning for the medium term, that 5 to 10 year term. Okay, as you can see, I'm passionate about it. So, what is in the proposed report?
Right. So once you get the report back, ultimately what's proposed by the report is how to save and spend the money. It's supposed to give you an intelligent framework or a skeleton of how to spend the money. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, it doesn't take into account doing things efficiently, and it doesn't take into account, livability of a building. It's pretty easy to say do a $2 million special assessment to get the reserve fully funded and then increase the contributions 160% for forever, but that doesn't take into account people with fixed incomes, it doesn't take into account people who want to sell next year, it doesn't take into account a lot of things. So ultimately what the document should try to migrate to is identifying areas that you guys should be concerned about and getting you funded in the medium and short term, what Sean's talking about, right? So we're talking about a key period analysis, you get the report back, you're going to get another report in 3 years, so are we worried about things that are in year 29 and year 30? No, because things are going to change in 3 years. We'll have a look at them again. If the elevator's on the fritz and it breaks down every week, should we be talking about increasing the contributions or doing something about the elevator? Yes, because that improves the livability of the building and makes resale value, maintains resale value, right? Huge contribution increases are terrible. In Ontario, they have a rule of thumb called constant contributions. And the ideal for a building is to have your contributions indexed with inflation. And if your contributions aren't indexed with inflation, you're seen as a bad investment, and it's hard to sell a condo that has contributions that are increasing at an increasing rate. That's just an aside from Ontario, but I mean, I can see a point where it's getting here because you're saying 20% over the course of 2 years, and I don't think that's sustainable growth for contributions. Just because housing prices are so high to begin with, and you won't get a lot of first-time buyers into the market at that rate. But the scary thing you'll get in the depreciation report is this huge big schedule of all the contributions. So down one side will be components, and it's year 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way out to year 30, and these tiny little numbers on this huge page. And I mean, it's a little bit mind-blowing to look at. But if you just have a look at the report and look at what's in that first 5 years, I think you can break it down into something that's digestible and not so scary. And then you also need to have a look at what the funding models are proposing, because if the funding models are just full funding 3 different ways, maybe you want to talk to your planner about a more relevant approach.